Building your wealth is not just about making more money. In fact, it's just as equally important to avoid costly mistakes. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top 3 wealth killers, and if you can avoid them, you will be much better off financially in your future. For the purpose of this video, I've ordered the 3 wealth killers in order from what will cost you the most amount of money to least, but all 3 of these items or big mistakes will cost you a significant amount of cash in the long run. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Eugene Yakovlev, and on this YouTube channel, I go over personal finances as well as how to build your wealth slow and steady over time. If you're interested in this type of content, be sure to give this video a like, and let's get back to it. So let's start with the first one. The biggest mistake that I see a lot of people making is not investing early. All too often, I see my friends and family putting their cash away in a low interest savings account, or even worse, under the mattress. Putting your money there will lose its purchasing power over time due to inflation, and so there are much better ways to grow your wealth and hold on to your cash. One of the best ways to stay ahead of inflation, but also to grow your wealth over time, is to invest it into the stock market. The biggest mistake I see by far is people telling themselves that they will invest later once they have more money. The problem with this thinking is that if you don't start to invest early, it will be very hard, if not impossible, for you to catch up later. To further illustrate this point, let's take an individual who decided it was a good idea to invest early. This person decided to invest $200 every single month for the next 40 years. This person started early at the age of 20 and decided that they would continually contribute to this investment account until they were age 60 by the age of retirement. If we look at the stock market's return over the past 50 years, we can see that we generally get about 10% rate of return for every year. For this thought experiment, we're also going to assume that the money compounds annually until the age of retirement. After 40 years, this person would have had $1,118,921.48. But what's even crazier is that they would have only contributed $96,000, but would have made $1,022,921 in total interest. On the other hand, let's say there was a person that was 45 years old and decided that they really needed to start investing because retirement was coming up in 15 years. They decided also to put away $200, and by the end of those 15 years, they would have had $80,324. The total contributions would have come out to $36,000, and the total interest would have come out to $44,324. Even if this person decided to invest 3 times more money every single month, that is $600 for the next 15 years, they would still fall short tremendously behind the first person. The only way for this person to truly catch up is if they had invested $2,786 a month for the next 15 years. Although this would have caught up this second person to the first person's target of $1,118,000, they would have had to contribute 5 times more money. The second person would have contributed $501,480 and made a total of $617,436 in total interest. This phenomenon is known as the 8th wonder of the world and is known as compound growth. The main takeaway here is that the earlier you can start investing, the more time your money will have to grow. Put a different way, $1 saved earlier in your life is worth a lot more for your retirement than $1 saved later in your life. Remember, the longer that money works for you, the more you'll be able to have in retirement. Whether you're 20 or 40 or 50 years old, the next best day to invest is starting today. The further that you delay investing, the more you will lose out on this opportunity of allowing your money to grow over time and this effect of compound growth. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to give this video a like and let me know down in the comments if you're investing and what you're buying. I'd love to hear all about it. The number 2 wealth killer is not protecting your credit score. Your credit score is more important than you think. This underrated tool can have a huge compounding effect on your life, for better or for worse. A bad credit score can make everything more expensive for you, including auto loans, credit cards, student loans, receiving some kind of loan for business, or getting a mortgage. Let's take, for example, two individuals that had completely different credit scores but decided it was time to buy a home. Both Brad and George decided that they wanted to purchase a $400,000 home and put 20% down to avoid PMI. So both Brad and George put $80,000 down and wanted to finance a mortgage for $320,000. As George was applying for the mortgage, they pulled his credit history and they found that he had an excellent credit score of over 800. George was careful that he would never miss any credit card payments, that his credit utilization was low, and overall he was really on top of his personal finances. He decided he would apply for a 30-year fixed conventional mortgage. At the time of making this video, those with excellent credit, the national average is about 6.25%. On the other hand, Brad also applied for a mortgage, and when they pulled his credit history, they found that he had a credit score of about 620. He also wanted to apply for a 30-year fixed conventional mortgage, and at the time of making this video, the national average for someone with a credit history like Brad is about 8%. And so although this might not sound that bad, the 6.25% versus the 8%, you need to understand that compound interest works against you and has the opposite effect of your investments when you're paying down debt. To look at some numbers together, let's look at George, who had the 6.25% rate. Excluding things like property taxes, home insurance, HOA fees, and other fees, we're just gonna look at the monthly principal and interest payment alone. George would have a payment of about $1,970 every single month, and he would have paid this off in 30 years. He would have paid a total of $709,306. Out of that, more than half of his money went to interest alone. He paid $389,306 just to repay this loan's interest. Now, taking Brad's 8% interest, he would have a monthly mortgage payment of around $2,348 every single month. At the end of 30 years, he would have paid over $845,296. We can see that he would also pay $525,296 in interest alone. By this example, you can see how George was able to save $135,000 on the same home purchase with the same amount of money put on the down payment just because he had a better credit score. Additionally, George could have taken the $380 difference from every single monthly mortgage payment and could have invested that into the stock market over a course of 30 years. After 30 years compounded annually with a 10% rate of return, George would have had $790,131 in his investment account. Now finally, I just want to look at the net worth of Brad and George at the end of 30 years. At the end of 30 years, both of them would have fully paid off their 30-year fixed mortgage and would have complete 100% ownership of their home. Assuming a modest 3% real estate growth year over year, their home would be valued at $970,000 at the end of 30 years. This would mean that George would have a total of $970,000 in his home equity, as well as the $790,000 in his investments, giving him a total of $1,760,000 as his net worth. We can see that the difference in 30 years is $790,000, all due to bad credit. A strong credit score can open up financial doors and opportunities that someone with a lower credit score would not be able to take advantage of. That is why they say that the rich keep getting richer and the poor stay poor. And finally, the number 3 wealth killer in this video is buying a new car. While driving a new car off the lot may feel great, it's often a terrible financial decision. A brand new car may look and smell good, but it's probably never worth the price. Most consumers have fallen into the trap of thinking that they need this car as a status of symbol and as a status of wealth. These people typically upgrade their car often and always look to upgrade once they've paid off or have not even paid off their previous car. Cars are depreciating assets. And the moment that you drive off your new car off the lot, it typically goes down in 20% of its value. By the end of 5 years, most cars would have lost about 60% of the value or the original purchase price that you paid for it. According to Go Banking Rates, 40% of Americans report that they have a monthly car payment. And so it's no wonder why people are upside down on their car payments, because they're still paying that monthly payment on that original amount that they owed to buy the new car, but their car is worth nowhere near that original value. There are some cars that do hold their wealth a little bit better than other cars. Some of these, for example, is a 2024 Ford Bronco, which after 5 years has a projected resale value of about 66.7% of its original value. No matter what car you get, you're probably going to be losing a lot of its value in the first couple of years. On top of holding this depreciating asset, most Americans have a crazy monthly car payment that they're paying month to month. Checking the average monthly car payment for new cars is about $734. Used cars have an average monthly payment of around $525. The worst part about owning a new car is that not only it loses its value, you have your car payment, but probably in a few years, with how fast technology is advancing, that car may even feel outdated. Although you've spent all that money into buying that new car, in 5 or 6 years when it's fully paid off, you're going to be wanting the next best and greatest car out on the market. That is why there are actually few people that fully pay off their car and don't upgrade after it's paid off. They're typically going back and buying a new car, financing it only again, and always carrying that debt. People will often try to justify a new car purchase by saying that they will have lower maintenance costs, but they'll have to make that trade-off with a higher price tag, higher depreciation, and also higher insurance costs. We can see that the average auto loan debt in the US has grown year over year. Before you go to purchase that new shiny car, think again. Cars are one of the biggest wealth killers in America. If you want to build true wealth over time, slow and steady, it may be a good idea to avoid that temptation and actually not overspend on a new car. There is absolutely nothing wrong with owning nice things and even owning a brand new car, but it's important not to let those things own you. We should always think about our needs and our financial goals in the future and try to tailor our life to make sure that we're hitting those goals and we're in target for where we want to be. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching this video. If you think I've missed something or a wealth killer that is bigger than the top 3 that I've mentioned, please be sure to comment down below. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys say. And if you missed my last video on how to stop being broke, please give that video a watch, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Peace.